The situation on ground remains extremely tense. This is day 13 of Israel's war on Hamas terror. The Israeli artillery and Israeli armor are punishing various strongholds of Hamas. Israel claims it's taken out some of the top military leadership of Hamas as they have completely decimated some of the locations where the rocket propelled grenades, the rockets that targeted several pockets of Israel, were being manufactured. At the same time, Hamas terrorists continue to target Israel. This is happening at a time when US President Joe Biden visited Israel yesterday, and the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is in Israel today. But Israel relentlessly continues to pound Hamas bases on ground zero, where we are reporting from in southern Israel, very close to the Gaza Strip. India today is right at the front lines of this war against Hamas terror, Israel's war on Hamas terror. We are at the fence. The plumes of smoke that you see rising right behind me, and let me try and show you those plumes of smoke rising in that area right in front of you, there and there. Now, according to the Israeli army, these are strongholds of Hamas that are being targeted. This is where Hamas has leadership, operational bases, logistics centers, and also foxholes or mouth of the tunnel. Now, the mouth of the tunnels are being destroyed. Ammunition and those bombs are being used that penetrate the ground and then explode. The aim is to ensure Hamas terrorists are neutralized as quickly as possible. I have
Stand here.
yes, sir.
Don't stand there, okay?
No,
it's
no.
exposed. Be
Yeah.
behind this line.
Okay.
Try to stand behind cover.
So, absolutely, sir. This is in the line of Hamas fire.
Yes.
So Israeli army officers are telling me that the place where we are standing right now, it's directly in the line of Hamas fire, including their small arms fire. And that's why we're moving to safety. We're told to constantly wear helmets and bulletproof jackets in this place. It's not safe, or take shelter behind mounds in this area, because for a rocket, when that rocket targets Tel Aviv, then there is still considerable time. Okay, so now we are moving to safety. These officers, it's safe here. Okay, so these officers tell us that it's safer to be in this part of town, because in this part of the open area, because here at least you're safe. But anything beyond this, you're directly in the line of fire as Israeli forces intensify their operations against Hamas terrorists. What's also very crucial is the Heron TP drones, long endurance drones that are in the skies, and you can hear the sound of those of their motors constantly. Those drones flying at an altitude of 30,000 feet or even higher, they pinpoint with their cameras, they pinpoint even a foxhole or the mouth of a tunnel, and then they lit up, they put a laser beam on the mouth of the tunnel, and the F-16s and F-15s. You can again hear those F-16s and F-15s in the sky. The moment that laser targeting is done, precision guided munition is used to bomb the mouth of the tunnel. So that is how precise these operations are being carried out. The aim is to ensure that when ground forces move in, there are no buildings or clusters where Hamas terrorists can hide behind civilians and use anti-tank missiles or shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles to target low-flying helicopters. Should helicopters come into that operation to give protection to the tanks and armored personnel carriers and trucks when they move in. Shallow raids, we are told, are already being conducted. So we're getting you a ground report. Very, 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 very tense situation on ground as you see plumes of smoke rising. Not safe to be there, but I just want you to, for a moment, see those plumes of smoke rising. India today is right at the front lines of Israel's war on Hamas terror. The situation taking a turn for the worse. There is an escalation on ground as Israel says its main aim is to destroy Hamas leadership, their bomb shelters, their bomb manufacturing capabilities, their logistics hubs, and also their financial centers. Gaurav Sawant, right near the Gaza Strip in southern Israel for India Today. India Today has been reporting from some of these settlements that were targeted by Hamas terrorists. We were at kibbutz Be'eri, we were at the Rims Nova Music Festival site, and now we are at kibbutz Nehal Oz. Now, kibbutz means a small community where people come together and believe in community living. They eat together. They live in harmony together. Whatever they earn is for the entire community. Their children study together. It's a beautiful form of living, and there are long queues for people to be able to join some of these well-to-do kibbutz. Of course, they are located very close to the fence. There is a shortage of space in this country, but just look at the destruction all around. This was a beautiful home of 6 people. 6:30 in the morning, when Hamas terrorists hit this house and several houses in kibbutz like this around me, people were forced to take shelter. They hid inside their homes because they're used to Hamas terrorists attacking using rockets, specially reinforced walls, reinforced windows and doors. The terrorists could not enter some of these houses. So they set the houses on fire and people were burnt alive. There was one image which is extremely heartbreaking where a couple, they were hugging and they burnt to death together. They were asphyxiated. Many such images like that all around this place. When people could not bear the heat in some instances, they ran out of their homes, but they ran into a hail of Hamas bullets. And that is why Israel says it will punish the Hamas terrorists. There is no way Israel will permit Hamas to exist in Gaza Strip anymore, either to rule Gaza Strip or to even survive in Gaza Strip. I've spoken to a number of Israeli army officers in the past 12 days, and they say there's one aim that they have in their life. It's an existential crisis for them. It's either Hamas or them, and they will ensure that Hamas is decimated. Earlier today, I spoke to Ms. Haskell. Sharren Haskel is a member of parliament. She's a combat soldier turned member of parliament at the Knesset here in Israel. And her opinion is that instead of just targeting the Hamas or the Hezbollah, where Israel faces terror at multiple fronts, you need to cut off the head of that snake, as she put it. And she's laid the blame entirely and squarely on Iran. We get you more in excerpts of that conversation that I had with that young member of parliament. Ma'am, what are your expectations of world leaders who are in Israel? What's the message that they are trying to send, and what's Israel trying to send across?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank all those leaders of the free world of democracies who are coming to stand beside Israel. And the main message that needs to come out of this is that this is a vicious attack on the values that we believe in. That this war is not just a war between Hamas and Israel. It's not just a war between Iran, who it's Hamas is its proxies, and between Israel, but this is an attack of radical Islam, of extremism on the values that we believe in, values of freedom, liberty, freedom of religion, equality, democracy, all of those shared values that we believe in. This is a war on that, on the sanctity of life.
Now, you said this is a war between radical terror and free world and democracy, but in several countries across the Middle East now, in West Asia, you have tensions that are rising and protests against Israel. You can hear the artillery going off behind me. This anger against Israel is, according to Palestinian authorities, 470 people were massacred in what they call is an Israeli missile strike, and artillery continues to go off behind us at the Gaza Strip, ma'am.
Well, let's make it clear. The Palestinians are on siege by Hamas. Hamas is targeting not just Israeli children, but also Palestinian children. They are sending rockets and are hiding behind dense population in schools, in hospitals, in mosques. And so by that, they are actually putting a human shield of children in front of them. What happened, the tragedy that happened in the hospital, was made by the Islamic Jihad. They have killed, by their sources, almost 500 children because they set their rocket launchers in the cemetery behind the hospital. We have every proof by the IDF, but not just, also independent investigations of the Pentagon and other agency who shows that a faulty missile of the Islamic Jihad had hit this hospital. And so the world needs to understand The Hamas is sending propaganda, and they're not just targeting Israeli children, but also Palestinian children. Gaza needs to be freed of Hamas. It needs to be freed from Hamas because they cannot be our neighbors. This is ISIS. This is Al-Qaeda sitting on our borders. And the massacre and butchering that they have done in the recent
I'm reporting
week,
from that border right now. I'm reporting from that border right now, and we can hear the artillery go off, the rockets and the missiles hit some of these strongholds of the Hamas, as Israeli army puts it, and the frequency is increasing behind me. But what about the collateral damage? The world is alarmed by the collateral damage, with civilians also coming in the line of fire, Ms. Haskell.
I'm sorry, Garav, but you really asked me this question. What about the Israeli collateral damage? What about 1,500 Israelis who were butchered? Children, babies that were beheaded, entire family tied down and burnt down, entire families. A baby that was cut out of their mother's womb and shot. A 6-month-old baby that was shot in the hand of his father. A girl as young as 13 years old that was raped in front of her entire family and then murdered. What about that collateral damage? What about Israelis? We need to live here safely. This is a war that's going to determine whether us Israelis can actually live here in Israel. Don't talk to me about the collateral damage. Unfortunately, they are hostages of Hamas as well. And once Gaza is going to be liberated from Hamas, then Hamas cannot use them as a human shield as well. This is our mission, and we will not stop until we bring back the security and the safety of our citizens. This is our mission, and we have to concentrate on that.
Ma'am, explain how will Gaza be liberated of Hamas when Hamas, as you say, are hiding behind civilians? When Hamas is in buildings, will ground troops have to be committed, because those ground troops will then be in the line of Hamas fire, whether Hamas has home advantage, hiding in buildings behind civilians, targeting your tanks and your armored personal carriers. So the situation will remain extremely tense for you in the days ahead. What will happen? Will ground troops be sent in, and when?
Well, we understand the risks, but we have to make sure that we completely eliminate all of their infrastructure, their economical, the military, the communication one. We have to make sure that there isn't any kind of facility of Hamas that stays. And we understand the danger in that. But we have a strong army. We have one of the best army in the world. And I trust them, because their mission is a mission of light against the darkness. Their mission is to maintain and to keep us safe. Their mission is to guard freedom and liberty and this Jewish nation, who's the only democracy in the Middle East. This is our home. This is our homeland. It's been like that for thousands of years. And so I believe that God is on our side, and our troops are well trained, and they are the best army. They understand what had happened in recent years, and their morals is what's going to lead them. And so I count on them.
You can hear the small arms fire. You can hear the machine guns behind me. You can hear the artillery go off behind me, where we are in southern Israel at this point of time. We are very close to the Gaza Strip. But is your priority first to get back the hostages, or is your priority to go in and demolish or decimate Hamas? Because that could also mean that those 200 hostages, their lives would further be in danger. Ms. Haskell.
We understand, but their lives are in danger at this moment as well. And we will do anything in our capability of bringing them back safe and sound to their home. But at the same time, we have to hit Hamas hard, and we will not stop until we eliminate it.
Okay. So is the priority to bring back the hostages first, or is the priority to decimate Hamas first? Will ground forces be committed sooner than expected? Is that what is going to happen as we see plumes of smoke rise behind me. For the benefit of our viewers, I want to show you these images, plumes of smoke rising behind me here that's the Gaza Strip. And there you see the massive cloud of smoke that rises. This is the Israeli army that's targeting the stronghold of Hamas. That's what we are being told. We're very close to the Gaza Strip. But Ms. Haskell, what do you see? What's the road ahead as far as Israel is concerned? Committing ground troops first or bringing hostages home first?
Well, you're speaking about that smoke that you see behind you, but I have a question for you. Have you visited Be'eri or Kfar Aza?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I have visited
So I was there
kibbutz
a few
Be'eri,
days
and we are
ago.
on our way to Kfar Aza, and I have seen the devastation. I've seen the destruction of Israeli civilians by Hamas
So
terrorists.
I saw
No
their
doubt they need
smoke
to be
as
punished. But go on, ma'am.
so we've seen that smoke as well. We've seen burnt houses, burnt beds where entire families were tied down and burnt alive. The military was telling us how they ran from one fire to another because Hamas have piled up bodies and lit them on fire in order to eliminate any kind of evidence. And they were running from fire to fire, trying to take it down in order to have some remain to be able to identify those bodies. These are the images of smoke that I have in my mind when I think of what is happening now and that war that we are having at the moment. We have a vicious enemy that has no mercy. It has no mercy on Israelis and it has no mercy on Palestinians. If they had any mercy, they would immediately surrender and bring back all of our hostages.
Ma'am, in India, we are victims of Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror represented by terrorist organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen. And these terrorists when you kill a terrorist, it's like pruning the branches or leaves of a terror tree with roots in Pakistan, funded by Pakistan Army and ISI. As far as Hamas or Hezbollah are concerned, even if you kill these terrorists, they're like leaves and branches of the terror tree. Where are the roots of this tree of terror that targets the people of Israel?
So the roots of this terror lays in Iran, that Iran is the head of the snake. Iran has proxies all around the world that is supporting and financing those terror organizations. Iran is fully controlling and financing Hamas. They're financing Hezbollah. They have their troops in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria. They are the biggest instigator of terror and violence in the Middle East. And so they are the root of the problem. Now, we know that Iran is behind this vicious attack. They assisted in planning it, they financed it, and they even had troops on their ground. If you look on some of the social media that was spread when they celebrated these massacres, sometimes you hear these people speaking Farsi as well. Why would they be speaking in Gaza in Farsi? This is only because Iran is set on the ground as well.
As soon as terrorists attacked Israel, and images like burnt houses behind me, hundreds of people taken hostage, 1,300 plus killed, 3,000 plus injured. As soon as this information went viral globally, Jews across the world returned home to fight for their homeland. And lakhs of them have joined as reserves. 3.5 lakh soldiers have been deployed in the past 12 days. And this is the fastest mobilization by the Israeli army. One such soldier returned from Boston, a professor there, a scholar soldier of Indian origin, an Indian Jew. Captain Daniel is someone I caught up with. He was teaching at Boston. He left his job. He's come here to fight for his homeland, for his country. I caught up with him a short while back. Let's listen in. So, are you a journalist? From Channel 12? Can you tell me what happened at this particular location for the benefit of our viewers?
You've heard from the people who were here. 100 people, as we stand, 1 out of 4 are in Gaza or are killed or are missing. But we wanted to know how do you explain the whole picture?
Let me also bring in Colonel Richard. Colonel Richard heads the public diplomacy.
International spokesperson.
International spokesperson here. Colonel, what can you tell us about this particular location? What exactly happened here?
You're in a picturesque, beautiful kibbutz called Ne'ov, which was attacked on Saturday morning, a day of holiday. Our mission right now is to show the world what happened in these communities on the 7th of October. Families were sleeping. They were after celebrating with their grandchildren. I love grandmothers here, and people were slaughtered, kidnapped, killed, raped. And we have to have the world to see this. We have to have India to see it. We have to have the BRICS to see it. We have to have everyone see what happened here.
Does the threat of Hamas terror remain even now in this part of southern Israel?
We will make sure that this threat never returns to the state of Israel. We will make sure that this never happens again.
The Israeli guns are pounding virtually non-stop. The F-16 fighter jets in the air pounding Hamas bases. Israel remains steadfast in its aim to demolish Hamas, a task that's easier said than done. They know they will have to commit ground forces sooner than later, and we will continue to get you the latest from ground zero. But that is all I have time for on this special broadcast from kibbutz Nihal Oz in southern Israel, right next to the Gaza Strip. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.